Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out The Film Geek. Today on my weekly roundup, I'm going to be going over my top 10 movies that still make me laugh. These are 10 movies that have been making me laugh for the last 20, 30, maybe even 40 years. The thing that makes these movies great is no matter how many times I've seen these movies, I laugh like crazy. I know the jokes, I can quote these movies line for line, but no matter how many times I watch these movies, I die laughing. So these are my top 10 movies that still make me laugh. Coming in at number 10 is 1995's Waiting for Guffman.
Just do the cones, make sundaes, make blizzards, and put stuff on them, and see a lot of people come in. A lot of people come to the DQ. Burgers, ice cream, anything, you know. Cokes, just drive in and get a Coke if you're thirsty.
Waiting for Guffman is directed by Christopher Guest, starring Christopher Guest, Fred Willard, Catherine O'Hara, Eugene Levy, and Parker Posey. A theater troupe in a small Missouri town thinks a Broadway producer, Guffman, is coming to one of their shows. This is one of Christopher Guest's mockumentaries. You might know some of his other films, Best in Show, Mighty Wind, and this one. Waiting for Guffman is absolutely hysterical, especially if you're someone like me who grew up in a small town in Missouri. This one takes place in more southern Missouri, which I could tell by the accent that Parker Posey has. By the way, she knocks it out of the ballpark. That is one of the most convincing southern Missouri little draw accents I've ever heard in my life. Fred Willard is amazing as always with his confused, out-of-touch kind of humor. Catherine O'Hara is amazing, and Eugene Levy just knocks it out of the park, playing a dentist turned actor. Number 9 is a movie that isn't directed by John Hughes, but is written by John Hughes, and that is 1988's The Great Outdoors.
Hey, he's back, everybody! Where the hell were ya?
Come on in, I'm making you a sandwich.
Big. Big?
Big? All right, we'll make a big one.
Big bear.
Big bear.
No, true. Out there.
We're glad you're home, honey.
Big bear, chase. Big bear, chase.
What does he say?
What? Big bear, chase me.
The Great Outdoors is starring Dan Aykroyd and John Candy, and it's a story of, well, a family vacation that goes horribly wrong. John Candy plays Chet, and all Chet wants to do is get out into the great outdoors and try to connect with his two sons. But lo and behold, his brother-in-law, played by Dan Aykroyd, shows up to, well, just try to get money out of him. Anyone who's ever stayed at some family campground or something of that sort is going to identify with this movie. This film is great. If you have not seen The Great Outdoors, it is a laugh riot. One thing I want to add about this film is the performance done by John Candy. And the reason why is because there is not a movie on earth that reminds me of my father more than The Great Outdoors. Throughout the entire movie, every little misadventure that John Candy gets into is a situation that my father could have easily found himself in. Just to name a couple, there was the exploding turkey on Thanksgiving, and a second story that involves sled riding down a hill and hitting a ramp and smacking his head on pavement. My dad's alive, by the way. He's perfectly fine. He just bonked his head, and it's good. He could take a hit. Coming in at number 8 is 1980's Aeroplane.
Please climb to 42,000 feet.
Roger, Denver.
We have a visitor.
Hello. Hi.
This is Captain Over, Mr. Murdoch, and Mr. Boston. This is Joey Hammond.
Oh, hi, Joey. Come on up here. You can see better. Joey, we have something here for our special visitors. Would you like to have it?
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Sure. You ever been in a cockpit before?
No, sir, I've never been up in a plane before.
You ever seen a grown man naked?
Airplane is directed by the Zucker brothers and Jim Abrahams, starring Robert Hayes, Julia Haggerty, and Leslie Nielsen. Okay, if you haven't seen Aeroplane, this is a spoof of disaster films. You see, in the late 70s, there was a ton of disaster films. I'm not gonna go into all of them. But anyways, this movie is a direct spoof of pretty much all of those disaster films. Okay, if you haven't seen Aeroplane, I mean seriously, what the hell? Joke after joke after joke, tons of gags. This film has it all. Number 7 is a movie most excellent.
Ted, stand up.
Stand up?
Yes, son, stand up. Now, who was Joan of Arc?
Noah's wife?
Directed by Stephen Herc, starring Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter. Look, we all know the story of Bill and Ted. I am pretty certain that anyone watching this right now knows Bill and Ted, so I'm not going to go into the story and the plot. I'm just going to tell you how much I love this movie. Oh my god, I love this movie. I remember my dad taking me to see this movie, and he decided this was my generation Cheech and Chong. And you know what? I couldn't be happier. I am so glad that this is my generation Cheech and Chong because Bill and Ted is freaking awesome. Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter knock it out of the ballpark with their surfer, skater dude performances. Comedic timing is great. Goofiness is just awesome. I mean, come on, it's Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. This is one of the greatest cult films of all time. Number 6 is something completely different.
Do you mind? I can't hear a word he's saying.
Don't you do you mind me? I was talking to my husband.
Well, go and talk to him somewhere else. I can't hear a bloody thing.
Don't you swear, my wife.
I was only asking her to shut up so he can hear what he's saying, big nose.
Don't you call my husband Big Nose?
Well, he has got a big nose.
Could you be quiet, please? What was that?
I don't know, I was too busy talking to Big Nose.
That's right, number 6 is Monty Python's Life of Brian. Life of Brian came out in 1979, starring the cast of Monty Python. This is a story about a man named Brian who gets confused with another guy by the name of Jesus. This is really my favorite film by the Monty Python troupe. I love Monty Python to death. I can't stop laughing at this movie. It is funny all the way through. The wit is amazing. Physical comedy is amazing. This was one of the greatest comedies ever made. If you haven't seen The Life of Brian, why haven't you? Next up, in the middle here at number 5 is 1985's Clue.
I hated her so much. Flames on the side of my face, heaving breaths.
Check out this freaking cast. We have Eileen Brennan, Tim Curry, Madeline Kahn, Christopher Lloyd, Michael McKean, Martin Mull, and Leslie Ann Warren. Clue is a murder mystery story that takes place in one big mansion, just like the board game. The comedic timing in this movie is off the charts. We have some of the greatest comedic actors of all time in one movie all together. It's just joke after joke after joke, and every one of the actors just seem to try to outdo the next one. If you haven't seen Clue, check it out. It is an 80s classic. Number 4 is from 1985 also, and that is Better Off Dead.
We'll beat that slope together.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm right behind you, buddy.
Man, now that's a real shame when folks be throwing away a perfectly good white boy like that.
Directed by Savage Steve Holland, starring John Cusack, Diane Franklin, and Curtis Armstrong. That's right, Booger himself is in this movie. So this is the story of Blaine, a high school student whose girlfriend breaks up with him, and not only is he dealing with that, he's dealing with his crazy family, a homicidal paper boy, the rival skier that stole his girlfriend, and 2 people who try to race him at every chance they get. Better Off Dead was one of the first movies I watched as a kid and just laughed like crazy. I have been laughing hysterically at this movie since 1985. If you have yet to see Better Off Dead and you don't get the joke, I want my $2, then you need to go out there and spend $2 to rent this movie and check it out. Number 3 is 1995's Friday.
Hey, I know you don't smoke weed. I know this. But I'm gonna get you high today. Cause it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do.
Directed by F. Gary Gray, starring Chris Tucker and Ice Cube. Man, you know the story of this movie. This is Friday. Everybody's seen Friday, so I'm just gonna move it along. I love this movie. It is absolutely hysterical. I've been laughing at this movie from day one. I checked it out when it came out in theaters. I bought it when it came out on VHS. I've owned this movie on almost every format that has ever existed. Okay, I didn't have it on Laserdisc, but to be fair, I don't think it was on Laserdisc. Number 2 is another movie that needs absolutely no plot discussion whatsoever, and that is 1974's Blazing Saddles.
What did you expect? Welcome, Sonny. Make yourself at home. Marry my daughter. You've got to remember that these are just simple farmers. These are people of the land, the common clay of the New West. You know, morons.
Blazing Saddles is directed by Mel Brooks, starring Cleavon Little, Gene Wilder, and Madeline Kahn yet again. Okay, like I said, we all know the plot of this movie, so I'm just going to tell you why I like it. This is one of the first really obscene movies I ever saw when I was a kid, and I loved it. Blazing Saddles is an all-time comedy classic, one of Mel Brooks' greatest films. We all know and love it, so if you have not sat down and watched Blazing Saddles, be prepared for a movie that, well, just couldn't get made today. That brings us to number 1, and that's 1995's Tommy Boy.
So where's my dad? I thought he was gonna meet me at the airport.
He was at the airport this morning, but you weren't on the plane.
He said he had a surprise for me.
Maybe. I guess you should have called.
I did call earlier when using the phone.
Earlier, when was that?
Or later, when then I left a message.
A message? What number did you call?
2, 4, 9er, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I can't hear you. You're trailing off. And did I catch a 9er in there? Were you calling from a walkie-talkie?
No, it was cordless.
Tommy Boy is directed by Peter Segal, starring Chris Farley and David Spade. Okay, this is another one. It's number 1 because we all know and love this movie. Chris Farley was a comedic genius. And when you put Chris Farley and David Spade together, magic happened. These two are great together. On Saturday Night Live, in the movies they've made, Chris Farley and David Spade are one of my favorite comedy duos. Sadly, we didn't get to see him for too awful long. Chris Farley passed away way too young due to drug abuse, alcoholism, one of those horribly funny guys that lives with a ton of demons. But hey, I'm not trying to bring you down or nothing. This movie is great. It's one of the funniest movies ever made. I don't know how many times I've seen this movie, and I laugh at the jokes every time. I will sit, quote the joke, and laugh my butt off at the end of it. Sometimes I laugh and then quote the joke. So if you haven't seen 1995's Tommy Boy yet, you need to check this movie out. Okay guys, that brings us to the end of not just another video, but another week here at The Film Geek. Thanks again for checking things out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications so you know when I put one of these videos up. Thanks for checking out The Film Geek, and as I always say, folks, keep watching movies, because you know I'm gonna.